Hello everyone and welcome to Call Sign Charlie Models. Time for part 2 of the F-16I Sufa in 1/32 scale from Academy. And so far I just finished the cockpit. Part 1 is uploaded and we are moving on to part 2, which is the intakes and the landing gear section. So we finished this part up here. That part's done using the Wolfpack resin set for this cockpit, and it absolutely looked absolutely gorgeous. Now we're moving on to the intakes. We got all this, and then we're going to move on and get the main landing gear well done, and then get all that assembled. And then once that's done, that'll be the end of part 2, because we do have a good amount of work to get done on this. Let me get everything out of here and let's see. Okay, so that's everything, and I did do a little, I was waiting for some parts on the cockpit to dry, so I did go ahead and start this. I got the nose landing gear well in here, so that's nice. It's going to be painted up real nice and all that detail in there that you're never going to see, but still it's going to be there. I might put a mirror under it. I like putting mirrors under my aircraft so that way you can see all the work, and we do have a nice little seam line along here to take care of. When I'm getting ready to assemble, I'm going to get all that done first. Then I got the intakes assembled, both the front and aft intake right in here. I got the putty put in, and I'm hoping, where's my flashlight? I got a flashlight here. Now we can look inside hopefully. So yeah, I got the putty put in there. So that's nice and dry, so now I can start sanding it and getting rid of that seam line that goes along both of the intakes along there. So once we get that all sanded down and get it painted, that's going to look real nice. And then when you attach it, so this section goes in like, should be a perfect fit. Yeah, I did a test fit and it comes together real nice on there, so no issues with that. I also got the front where the molded in landing gear is, I got that taken care of, so that's not going to be an issue. And I've already done a test fit on the fuselage section, and it comes in very nice, so that's done. And then the main landing gear well for the rear landing gear, and the detail in here is absolutely amazing. Then I did do a test fit, so let's see how this fits. And it is a drop-in fit. There is no modification done to the fuselage or the landing gear well, and you can see how well this absolutely fits. And this is going to look amazing because you can actually see a decent amount of this when this is parked. So I'm really excited to get this done and all weathered up. And then we'll put this piece in here like so. Just a quick fit, and there we go. So that's how that is looking so far. Again, it's just a quick fit, so don't worry, I'm gonna deal with all the other parts when it comes time. So again, that's gonna look real nice. So I'm going to get off camera here, and I also need to cut out the turbine fan for that goes back in here to block that off, so I can get that started on paint as well. And then we're going to get the seam lines taken care of in here first, and we're going to have to do a couple test shots to see if this is if the seam line is done. I did put a little bit of primer or the Mr. Surfacer on the outside when I was doing this, help prevent shrinkage a little bit. There was still some shrinkage on it, and I did have to do a few coats, but it did help keeping it from seeping through all the way if there were any holes. So got that taken care of, and we'll get that sanded down too so it's nice and smooth. So yep, all those parts are done. I'm leaving this part off separate because this is going to be painted in the gray, and this also fits very, very nice, just like so. And that's a nice little demarcation line for your difference in colors. Alright, so I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to get all this stuff painted up or sanded and taken care of, and then I'll be back when that's done, and hopefully when I get the primer on there so we can start getting some paint down. Alright, so I'll be back in 1 second. Alright, and we're back, and we got the intakes all painted up and done. All I got to do is the final assembly for all of this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this lip right here, get that on, and then I'm going to make the mask for the nose, the intake, using some foam, and then I got to glue these two pieces together, and which is pretty easy. And then I got the clear coat done on the rear or main landing gear bay, and that is looking quite nice. Once the clear coat is dry, I'm going to add a couple placards in here, like on this box, on this bottle right here, and maybe a couple others, but not too many more, but just to liven it up a little bit more. And then that's it. And then the nose landing gear well again as well, maybe a placard here and there on a box, but that will be it. And there won't be much to this one, but this one is ready to go. So all I gotta do now is get the intakes done, which shouldn't take much. I just gotta get this piece lined up, assuming I can. I need to find my tweezers. Here they are. Get this all lined up. We're just gonna glue this in together. Alright, so the strake is done, it's glued in. So all I gotta do now is get this nose piece on right in here, and it fits in absolutely gorgeous. Just get some glue around the edge right here. Alright, so that's done. Intake is looking nice. And then once this is dry, I'm going to grab some foam, and I'm going to cut a foam piece to stick in here to mask that all off. And then once this is all in and glued in, I'm going to get some tape, and I'm going to tape around there as well to protect that, so I don't have to worry about masking it during paint. And then for the final part right here, just going to come in. This pops right in, perfect fit like usual. And then we're just going to come in here, drop some glue in, let the capillary action take effect, and then just let that sit and dry. And I don't know if you can see in there, but you can kind of see the exhaust blades with the fan right in there. So yeah. Alright, so we're going to let all this dry, and then so I'm going to let that dry for about 20-30 minutes or so. Then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to cut the foam. I'll do the foam on video, and then yeah, and then this is all ready, and then we got to do the decals for the landing gear bay. Get that done, and then we are going to apply another clear coat as soon as I remove all the dog hair that has floated into this model. Alright, so yep, once this is done, we'll put the decals on, some placards here, there, and a couple around other places, maybe on this box right here. Then after that, we're going to do a clear coat, get the clear coat down, let that dry, and then I'll do another panel line wash in here, get that a little bit grungy, and then we'll put the matte coat on, and that will be it for that. And then this is ready to go in. All of this is ready to go. Get that all closed up, and we get that attached to the lower fuselage. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry for a little bit, and I will be back in 1 second. Alright, I'm back and I let this piece dry for a good 45 minutes or so, so it's nice and on there. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use some foam that you get from the Edward Brazen packing, or you can find it in numerous other sets. But I find this is perfect for masking off like wheel wells, cockpits, intakes and such, and it's super easy to work with. And all I'm going to do for this, I am going to push this onto the intake. Alright, clearing off more dog hair. Added benefit of having a golden retriever is you can find gold hair or dog hair everywhere. Then I'm just going to come along here with my scissors and I'm going to trim it right alongside the edge. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, because when I push it in, it's going to actually, the less perfect it is, the better, because it is going to push in on all the edges and make sure we get a good seal on the intakes. So again, just moving right along on the bottom side here, getting the intakes masked off, and we got that piece cut off. So now all I got to do is take it and push it in like so, and now I have a perfect mask for that intake. And what I'm going to do is after I get this part all attached, so we're going to come in here and move this piece in, make sure it's fitting properly, and then line that all up, get that glued in, get the top piece glued in as well, and then I'm going to come in with some masking tape and mask along this edge right here after I see if I need to sand it. And it looks like I'm going to have to sand it right now, but we'll see how that's looking when it's all said and done. But again, it's looking like it's going to be very nice. And this right here, I'm going to get all that masked off so I don't have to worry about painting it. It is a separate color than what the fuselage is, so again, not really worried about that. But again, this is going to be, this is the best way to mask intakes right here, because you don't have to worry about any paint getting on the inside of your intakes. Alright, so that's it for right now. I'm waiting for the clear coat to dry on these so I can do the decals on them. That will be tomorrow, and get that all done, and then move on to another clear coat and panel lining for these. And then let's see what we have after that. After, I'm hoping by the time I get done with these and get all this attached, so we got this part done right here and this part. Let me get you on camera so I can show you what we've got done. So all we got to do is finish up this part. So we just need to put the intake into these two pieces right here and then close it up with that, and then get that onto the bottom fuselage. We have a piece to add in. It looks like a scoop right along here. I'm kind of nervous about adding that because I'm not sure if that's a piece that is in the correction set for that I have being delivered in the next few days. We do have a pitot tube and a holder drill up in here for the bottom, and then after that we are not worried about the landing gear because I have that main gear well done. So after that we're adding in the rear exhaust, which again is a perfect drop-in fit once I can find the holes to line up. Maybe it goes the other way. Nope, it goes this way. Alright, so again, the bottom piece, that's a perfect fit in there, so we'll get that all glued in, and then this piece glues into here. I have it the right way up. We'll get that all lined up and good to go, and that's looking absolutely amazing on that. And then with all that said and done, we can move on. We'll probably drop this into the fuselage first. So like I said, this is a drop-in fit kit upgrade set. So again, there's our main landing gear well right there, all done, well painted. We still have more to do to it, so it's not done. And then we have this intake set that goes into here like so. We'll have a piece that goes along the outside of that, but that's how that is looking so far. So this is looking really good. I'm really happy with the fit of the Wolfpack and Aries and all that. We do have a piece on the upper part to sand off or cut off when I get to this step right in here. But with this step, I know this part comes with the upgrade set, and this turns this and this piece right here into one piece. I do need to glue this piece in and then paint that separately, so that way that can be glued in. And then after that, we're adding in our conformal fuel tanks as well. So we do have a little bit ways to go, and then after that we're getting the fuselage halves together. So this is really going to start looking like a Sufa here in a little bit. So I'm going to get off of here for now. We're going to wait for the clear coat to dry again overnight. I want to make sure it's good and cured, and then we're going to go in, do the decals. And again, with this, I'll probably use this stuff again for the masking of the wheel wells, for all of them. So we can just come in here, and I'm going to wait because there's a piece that goes over here to connect the fuselage. It's actually part of the fuselage on here. So after that's done, I can come in here and do the foam for the masking. But again, so that's everything for now. Tomorrow I'll come back, we'll show you with the decals which ones I got done. It's only like 3 or 4 of them, and that will be done. And then a quick clear coat over that, let that be done, and then we do panel line over everything, get that done, and then a matte coat, and that will be it. And then we are ready to start assembling all this stuff. So hopefully, I'd say probably Monday or Tuesday, we're ready to start adding this stuff in and then really start rocking and rolling on this kit. Alright, so I will see you in just 1 second when all of the decals are done. Alright, I just want to give you a quick update. I got the decals onto the main landing gear bay, and the solva set is just about dry. After I get off of here, I'm going to spray it with another clear coat, so that way tomorrow I can go in and hit it with the panel liner and get that all done, and then a matte coat over that, and then that is done. So that's done there. And then I was doing a test fit with the intake, all right, with this Aries nose landing gear set, and the fit on here, like in the landing gear well, is absolutely perfect. And I'm started to clean up some of the seams along here as well. But when I started to do a test fit of the intake into it, I started running into problems with getting it to fit on the lip. And so I sanded down the landing gear bay, so it's almost paper thin on the ceiling right there. And then I sanded down the bottom of the intake as well, and I got it to a point, and I had to break this lip off of the intake so I could do some more sanding. But I think I got it to a point where it's almost acceptable right there with getting that done. It shouldn't be much sanding required, if any. There's a little bit of a lip there, but yeah, it's that'll be a lot easier to take care of on sanding versus what it was before. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's lining up quite well. So yeah, I had to break this free and then sand all of the bottom, make sure that there's no remnants of the molded in landing gear bay. And actually this is really thin right along here, so I had to do that. And then I had to basically come in, I had to detach this lip right here and then come in and just make this almost a razor's edge point, so that way I would have enough of a lip along here to fit onto this lip right here. And also I had to come in and sand that area down almost razor thin as well. just to get it to fit right. And I think this is really going to be beneficial for when I get everything in. We'll do a quick test, just a rough test. I'm not going to squeeze everything into place, but there's that piece looking right, and then this piece comes in over top of that. So we're going to get that in and get that seated in, and it should look just about right. There's going to be a little bit of putty that's required, especially along these sides, but that's not too bad. That's going to be easy sand, especially like right in here. This is going to be covered by a sensor, so I'm not 100% worried about that. It's just this part right here that's going to be highly visible. So I got to take care of all that. But I am going to let this dry overnight. Actually, I got to... This is ready for panel liner because it's already got a clear coat on it and there's no decals in there. So that is ready. I just need to clear coat this real quick, which will just take about a 30-second spray. It'll take me longer to load the airbrush and clean the airbrush afterwards than it will take to actually spray this. So that's all done. That's ready to go. Tomorrow I'll be back on here. I'll be getting the panel liner done, letting that dry, and then hitting everything with a matte coat. And after that's done, I can start assembly on all this. Also, I decided that what I'm going to do for this part, so part 2 of this build, is I'm going to get all the way to the point where we are marrying the 2 fuselage halves together. So all the way up to step 11. We're going to go all the way to that point. And then after that is a bunch of landing gear parts. So working with the wheels, the res kit wheels, the landing gear, getting all that set up. And then possibly the engine will be the end of part 3. And then after that we'll start working on wings, getting all that done and assembled. And then just moving on and getting more parts done. I'm hoping that this build is probably going to be about maybe a 10-part build, but it's all going to detail everything and it's all going to come together in the very end. So again, I'm going to hit this with a gloss coat real quick, and then I'll be back tomorrow morning to hit it with the panel liner, and then after that it's almost all done. Alright, so I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so got all the landing gear areas done using the panel liner from Tamiya. Got that all panel lined and washed. It does give it a nice kind of grungy look to it. So not too clean and not too dirty, but yeah, so that's looking real nice. And then the nose landing gear well as well. So just a lot better than what is included in the kit. This, I mean, the kit does have some nice detail to it, but this just goes above and beyond on the detail of it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to start getting the nose intake all buttoned up, getting that all in, and we're going to take care of the sanding and get that all taken care of, and then get this attached into the fuselage right here. I have a few holes to drill in here before I start attaching parts, so when this is drying I'm going to drill some holes in the fuselage, at least on the belly right here, and I know I have a couple on the top, but I'm not really worried about the top yet. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. I'm going to get this glued in, and hopefully I can get it to fit nice and flush, or at least as close to flush as possible. Like that. That's looking pretty good right now. And then we'll get the top piece in. I know I'm going to tape that in, let that dry for a good while, probably during my lunch break. And then after that's done, I can start getting it into the fuselage and the main landing gear, well, and this intake part. So I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to get this glued in because I'm going to need to hold this and sit for a good while, and it's going to be boring to watch for you. So I'm going to spare you that boredom. So I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so we've made a big step forward. We got the main landing gear well and the nose landing gear and intake all in on the bottom fuselage. And this, like I said before, was an absolute, for the main landing gear, a drop and fit. No issues with that at all. Even on the rear exhaust area, again, no fit issues with that. On the front fuselage or front intake section, There was a little bit. There's a little bit of a gap and a step right in here. But I mean, it's maybe not even, maybe 0.1, 0.2 millimeters of a step. So not much of a step at all along here. And then right in here, maybe a little bit of perfect putty to go in there to fill that seam. But other than that, that was it. And I mean, maybe a little bit more sanding along in here. I'm waiting for the glue to dry. I sanded it down and then hit it with some more Tamiya glue to really fill in that seam, but might have to re-sand it just a tad bit just to get rid of that seam line, but not much at all dealing with that. So that section is done, ready to go. And up next we got the upper fuselage, right? Or we got one more piece, or two more pieces to add to here. We got a sensor that goes on here, and then a pitot tube that goes here. So I'll go ahead and get that done. Then after that's all done, we have the upper fuselage section, getting this dorsal spine to go on, and that should be here from IsraCast tomorrow. I saw my email notifications that this part has arrived in Louisville as of last night, and today is Sunday, so sadly no mail on Sunday, but tomorrow afternoon I should be getting this in, so that will give me time to get this piece painted and get all that set up and get the conformal tanks. I'll probably go ahead and get the machine gun piece in, and then maybe even get the conformal tanks in tomorrow as well. So we'll see about that. I might wait. I already got the 2 holes drilled for the conformal tanks, so we'll see about that. But at least tomorrow I'm going to get this piece in or painted along with the fuselage. I also got the upper fuselage set for the cockpit. Do a little test fit on that again. I did a test fit earlier and it is a perfect fit. So all in there, that's gonna look, and once I get the instrument combings in there and get it all painted up, that's gonna look absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait. But I am gonna wait to get this piece attached until after I get the IsraCast, so I can make sure that I don't need to make any modifications with the arc of it, and make sure it matches up nice. Other than that, that's about it. I'm going to get these 2 pieces attached, so those are done and out of the way. And then after that, I don't really have much else to do until I get that that set in from IsraCast. So I think today the only thing else I'm going to do is the unboxing of the OV10 Bronco, and then just wait until the mail comes in tomorrow to get started on this. So but we got a good amount done. We're moving right along, and once we get those dorsal fins or that update set in, I can really start trucking on this and get this all set up. So I'll be back in 1 second with the a review of the IsraCast correction set for this, and then we will get right and rocking and rolling on this guy, and let's see how it goes. So I'll be back in 1 second. Alright, we're back, and we got the fuselage, the main fuselage section complete. So got everything in, got the cockpit in with the HUD, and then the electronic spine came in, and I was able to get that on. I decided I'm going to glue on this little hump right here and just paint it separately, because there are a few other parts that are molded in that need to be painted gray as well. There is a little bit of dust on here, but I'm going to take care of that before I paint. But everything is looking great so far. With the cockpit, I did have to sand a lot of the bottom out and then actually cut some of the bottom or top side of the piece that goes over the intake. So, but I ended up getting it all to fit, and it does look absolutely great. And then going on to the bottom side, again, this landing gear bay by Wolfpack, absolutely drop-in fit for the rear one. The front one, again, no issues with that, fit perfectly along the walls, and then just some sanding down to get it to fit with the intake. So I had to get it pretty much paper thin on the top side of the nose well to get that to fit. But again, some perfect work on, or perfect molding on that. No issues with there. Did have to add a little bit of perfect putty along this seam like right here. I am going to have to go in and all I need to do is go hit those with a pin vise, and that putty will come right out along with all the panel lines in there. So up next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this canopy piece, I'm going to tack this in with some Elmer's white glue, and so it protects it from all the dust and everything that's going to be coming up. And also for when I paint, I won't have to worry about doing the masking for this, because I got extra canopy that I can use for this. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to tack this in right here like so, and that's going to protect everything. And then when I'm ready, after everything's done, I'll pop this one off, and then I'll change it out with the special canopy that I have from AFE Club right here, and it has a special coating to it. I'm gonna have to sand down the center seam line, but that's not too big of an issue. Alright, so that does it for part 2 of the F-16I Sufa from Academy. Up next, what we're going to be working on is we got a lot of landing gear parts to take care of, get all those assembled. I'm not going to attach them into the model until after paint and everything, but I'm just at least going to get them built up or cut off the sprue. The nose landing gear door, it does come with a replacement from the Isercast resin, so I'm going to get that cut off and cleaned up, and there are a few parts that go onto that as well. And then again with the main landing gear, and then the landing gear, the wheels, those are from ResKit. I got to get those cut off and assembled. I might see how the fit is and see if I can paint those wheel hubs separately on that. And then the aft landing gear doors will get done. Then we'll start adding some of the lumps and bumps to the fuselage, getting all that on, and then we'll end part 3 with the engine. We're going to get the engine all painted and ready to go. Not going to put it in. We'll do a test fit to see how it fits in the fuselage, but I will not be assembling or putting it into the fuselage until the very end, after all the paint and everything is done. But that's where we're going to end part 3, is with the engine, and then part 4 is going to be adding in all the wings and all that, and probably finishing up with part 5, getting all the other parts done on the build portion, and then we'll move right into primer and paint. So again, just a few like lumps and bumps on here. This is going to be a lot of the Isercast stuff right in here going on, and then the engines is going to be a big thing because the Aries engine is absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to make sure we get that painted up and weathered. That's going to look great when it's all said and done. So I hope you enjoyed this part of the build, and look forward to seeing you in part 3. Part 3 is a bunch of little bits, but it's really going to start to come together and look even more like a Sufa when that's all done. So anyways, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on if you built this kit before. And then I will see you next time. But until then, have a great day and stay frosty.